Hello, everyone, and welcome to ULTIWORLD'S newest podcast venture, Laying It Out. I'm your host, Scotti Dempsey.
And I'm Chelsea Pockets. So the idea behind this new podcast is we're just going to have a culture-based podcast to talk about what younger players experience, specifically college players, and then also just give our perspective on what we've experienced playing college Ultimate for the past 3 to 5 years for either of us. I think go ahead.
We are by no means experts of the sport or even like advice columnists. We are stumbling through life just the same as you are and asking the same questions. So we hope that we can help you guys learn a little bit and laugh along the way.
Mm-hmm. And to start, since most of you out there have no idea who we are, we thought we would just go into how we found Ultimate, what teams that we've played for in the past, and just our Ultimate experience in general. So, Scotti, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll take it away. This is my expertise as I was a college orientation leader. So for some strange reason, I love icebreakers. So allow me to tell you a little bit about myself. I graduated from Lehigh in 2020. I had my senior year unfortunately cut short by the coronavirus pandemic, and I found the team my sophomore spring. When I first got to Lehigh, I was on the equestrian team, so horse girl alert, I know. And I also rushed a sorority. However, I didn't join, so I was forced to completely revamp my idea of what a social life at school would be. And luckily enough, I had a group of friends that I had met prior to this whole Greek life drama, and they were on the Frisbee team, so they started to bring me to parties. And following a study abroad in Ireland where I met even more Frisbee people from Lehigh, I was pretty sold on at least being a social member. And then by the spring, I figured I might as well try the sport as well, and ended up falling in love with it against all odds, even though I rode the bench for a full semester. So
yeah, you joined as an actual player in the spring semester that our team went to D3 Nationals and got third. So you joined the team at its competitive peak.
Exactly. So I learned a lot by watching and following a summer of playing mixed club in the Lehigh Valley with Peep Show. I am now here as a college graduate waiting out the pandemic.
Yeah. I had a little bit more of a traditional path to Ultimate. I think that a lot of people do. I joined actually my freshman year. I graduated Lehigh in 2019. I originally played volleyball in high school, played for all 4 years, even captained the team my senior year, even though I wasn't that good at all. A fun fact, so I'm 5'7", and I think most people know that in volleyball, the middle is supposed to be the tallest person on the team. And for some reason, our team was just really short. So at a whopping 5'7", I was our tallest girl and had to be middle and play against all the 6-foot-tall girls. And I just got absolutely stuffed every time. So that was my experience. Even though I wasn't good at volleyball, I went to Lehigh and I went to the club sports fair, like the very first week of classes. And I was looking to sign up for club volleyball there. And I think it was in the very back, I saw one guy standing at the volleyball table. I was like, oh, hey, here to sign up for volleyball. He's like, oh, girls' volleyball is over there. And he just points to a piece of paper that's left on the table where I can write my name and my email, and hopefully someone reaches out to me about it. So I was a little bit disappointed. For some reason, I decided to keep walking around the club sports fair, and I was drawn to 2 girls on the Ultimate Frisbee team. They're like, oh, hey, do you want to play this fun sport? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, sure. I had heard of, or I played Ultimate Frisbee one game in high school, but I've told you before, it was a fake game of Ultimate where when you catch the disc, you're allowed to completely stop and then just take 3 giant steps. Because for some reason, that's what everyone is taught.
Classic.
That's what everyone's taught in their They're like high school gym classes or whatever. So I had signed up. I went back to my freshman dorm and met up with my 2 friends that I'd made there. And they were like, oh, hey, guess what? We signed up for Ultimate Frisbee. And I was like, wow, I did too. That's so cool. And so we went to the first week of practices together. I had a lot of fun just kind of running around, not knowing what I was doing. I was wearing Converse to the first week of classes until I could get an upperclassman to drive me to like Dick's Sporting Goods and get a pair of cleats.
Athletic sneakers.
Because I had only played volleyball. Oh, we might have a cat incoming. I had only played volleyball, and to all you visual listeners, everyone watching the video part of that, my cat Wawa just popped in for a brief moment. But yeah, I was playing in Converse for the first week until an upperclassman could drive me to a sporting center, because anyone that plays volleyball, volleyball people are really invested in their sneakers, and you can't wear them outside because it'll mess up how they work when you're playing inside or something like that. I don't understand. But so I was like, oh, in case I try volleyball again, I'll keep my shoes nice. So yeah, but like I said, I was just running around like a crazy person because the women's team was so small then, and it didn't matter if I was good or not.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's the way to learn.
Yeah, no, it was nice. And then so I joined freshman year, assistant captain my junior year, head captain my senior year, and then played club for 3 years. So peep show, like Scotti said, I've played for 2 years. And then I graduated college somehow. And then I played literally 1 game of Ultimate in 2020. Immediately vomited after the game. And then COVID shut everything down.
So now we're just left missing playing Ultimate, but hopefully things are going to be looking up. And for now, you guys can just listen to us talk about playing Ultimate. So that's a little bit of a background on our personal Ultimate careers. Obviously, it's pretty focused on college, and that's where our experience lies, and that's what we'll talk about. And I guess we should also give you a little bit of a background on how we became friends. And how this podcast duo came to be, because we are certainly not the most traditional, meet cute friendship, because when Pockets first met me, she hated me.
Yes. So as Scotti mentioned earlier, she joined the team as a social member. So that just means she came to a bunch of parties and wouldn't play Frisbee, even though we always need more girls on the Frisbee team.
I just because of that alcohol.
yes. And she was friends with a lot of the guys in my grade. So because of that, I would always hear them be like, oh, Scotti this, Scotti that. And I was kind of like, who is this girl? And I heard some kind of weird stories about her. And so I kind of immediately was iffy about her and didn't really want to hang out with her or anything. But then at a party that I was way too sober to be at.
Not sober.
Yeah, you were the opposite. She comes up to me. I'm just sitting on the couch like the antisocial person I am. She comes up to me. She's like, oh my gosh, you're Pockets, right? That's my drunk girl at a party voice. I'm like, yeah. What do you want? She's like, oh my gosh, your last Instagram post was so cute. You look so cute. Can I borrow your romper sometime? And Scotty's 5 inches shorter than me. And this was the first conversation we were having. So first I was like, who the hell are you? I don't know who you are. Second, I was like, no way you're going to fit into my clothes. I got a whole head on you. But from there.
But we were able to bond through trauma, which was driving to nationals in Rockford, Illinois, which was a 12-hour trip from Bethlehem to Rockland. Rockford. And we somehow ended up... What?
First, you get the time wrong. The original story when we were telling this, Scotti said it was a 24-hour drive.
24 hours round trip, in my defense. It was 12 hours one way.
Our nationals trip in 2018. Yeah. So driving all the way from Bethlehem, a 12-hour drive.
And we ended up in the loser car together because I was new and didn't really have a ton of friends, and Pockets was nice. And we had to also stop in Pittsburgh to pick up the girl that I was the closest with. So, like, of course, I volunteered to be in the car with that made that detour.
And no one wanted to stop in Pittsburgh either.
Yeah. So our car was me and Pockets and her boyfriend, and
no one wanted to also third wheel with my boyfriend.
Our friend that we picked up in Pittsburgh, and our faculty advisor. So
who's 70 years old.
It was certainly a vibe. And following our third place finish in our loss to Bates on Sunday, most of the seniors that year flew home because graduation was that Monday. So they flew home, leaving, the other 2/3 of us to drive these vans that we initially had full back to Bethlehem. So the drive back was just me, Pockets, and her boyfriend.
Yeah, each car had like 3 people in it for a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
Which is good.
So I will say Pockets and her boyfriend are probably my favorite couple to third wheel. You are fun and friends, and also Sponge falls asleep in any moving vehicle that he is in. So we had a full 6 hours to just chit-chat while I was shotgun with you driving and he was asleep in the back seat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, following that drive. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that bonding moment kind of started the friendship. Over the summer, we were both at Lehigh. You were doing classes, I think.
Yeah.
And I had an internship. So then a little bit more of summer shenanigans. Definitely a lot of drinking happens during the summer college life. And then that following semester, it was my senior year, and I got stuck in a horror film class where I basically had to watch 1 or 2 horror films every week for the semester. And for people that don't know me, I'm a very big baby and and can't really watch horror films. So Scotti volunteered to watch them with me. We had all the lights on. We would watch them at 2 p.m. in the middle of the week. I would hook up my laptop to the TV we had in our living room and dual screen it so that the movie was playing up on the TV, and then I had the jump scares listed out with their timestamps.
And the mouse over the time bar.
Yeah, the mouse, we would keep the mouse so that was over the time bar so I could always see what timestamp we were at.
And for everyone that wasn't there, which is everyone, she still jumped at every single jump scare, even though she knew it was coming. So
I'm a big baby.
that was a real bonding moment. And to wrap up the dress story, I wore the romper to my cousin's wedding that August.
Yeah.
And it fit great, and I got lots of compliments.
So I was wrong on 2 fronts. Scotti fits into my clothing. And we did become good friends after that. So that's sweet.
And so here we are with our podcast, our new podcast for ULTIWORLD, laying it out.
We're wrapping up that beginning segment. Coming up, we're going to talk about our favorite college party moments and our favorite college tournament moments. But first, we have a word from our sponsor. I'm going to put on my reading glasses to read this sponsor. Our first sponsor is my mom. After 5 years of coming to my ultimate tournaments, she still has no idea how the sport works. And she doesn't even know I'm filming this podcast right now. But she did Venmo me $5 for Starbucks a few days ago because I was feeling sad. So because of that, our first sponsor is my mom. Thank you very much, Kathleen, for that sponsorship.
Woo!
As we move into our next segment, we're very serious here on the Laying It Out podcast. So I'm going to make Scotti go first again because I hate going first. Scotti, what is your favorite? You could choose your favorite party memory or your favorite tournament memory in college.
This is a tough one. I would also like to note that Pockets refuses to play the first point of every game. Specifically, the first point of every game at every tournament. So even when she was captain, she would not be leading the charge on the field. Her senior year.
I have a superstition. Well, it's two. I have a superstition where if I don't play well the first point of the game, I'm not going to play well the rest of the game, which is not good. And then two, I like to like scout out who the fast people are on the other team and then not match up on them.
A pro gamer strategy for sure. So,
I also my other pro gamer strat. I'm a cutter that wears a hat, so I get a lot of handlers that mark up on me on the first few points, and I just bust deep.
Well, if it works, you got to throw them off their rhythm. So, I guess to jump into my favorite party story, I know we've had all this time to plan out this podcast and think about it, and of course, naturally, I had to forget every single party I've ever been to. But my favorite party of the year is during Liloff, which is the Lehigh Lafayette rivalry, and it's the Catalina wine mixer. And it is, in some ways, a terrible party because it's the first time a lot of people have wine in abundance, but I like it because we get to get really dressed up and take pictures, which is a rarity among Frisbee parties. A lot of times you can catch me at parties wearing a Frisbee t-shirt, like my jersey, and Frisbee shorts, and usually not slippers because I don't want them to get wet, but I am certainly not dressed to impress at any party. So this one opportunity to get dressed up is my favorite night of the year. And it's a lot of really great like grade bonding for me as well. My whole grade likes to take a lot of pictures together and do a yearly like photo shoot.
It's always in my house or someone else's house, not one of the places that you guys live.
Yep, exactly. And there's about like 15 of us, so we always sprawl across all the couches and like looking sharp and get usually someone's significant other that's not in our grade to take the picture and then, go on with our night. And as much as this party is a bit of a shit show sometimes, it's a lot of fun for me personally, and I like it because also the Franzia tastes better than natural light. I did not want to steal. I did not want to steal from Pocket's favorite party story, which I know we've gone over because I have some great memories from that one as well. If you would like to take it away for the Root tournament.
No, my favorite party memory is also an annual event, and it is our annual Root tournament. For people that don't know, I'm gonna probably say something controversial here, but Root is a better version of beer pong. I think it was invented at Lehigh. I'm not really sure.
Lehigh and Bucknell go back and forth about who invented it, but
at least it's staying in the it's staying in the state. It's a Pennsylvania college at the very least. There was some Snapchat. I'm getting off track, but there was some Snapchat story I remember a few years ago that I think credited it to Lehigh. So I kind of like that.
Okay.
But you use smaller cups, 8 ounces, I think. And there's a concept of pulling, where if you completely overshoot the rack and it goes over the table, you take a cup and drink it from your own rack. You can also put empty cups back in your rack, and if someone hits that on the other team, they have to pull from their rack. It just basically makes the game last a lot longer than it has to. It makes everyone basically drink their entire... Yes. So I like it. But our team does the annual Root tournament. Like I said, we have... it's 3 players per team. My junior year, I decided to play with my boyfriend and his housemate / our very good friend that always likes to third wheel with us. And we didn't think we would get very far. One, I'm not a drinker, really. I like to pretend I am, but I am not. And two, we were just kind of there to have a good time, but all of a sudden we just kept winning games, like you do. We were like, oh, wow, let's see how far we could take this. I think it was right before semis. I ran up to my room and I grabbed all 3 lightsabers that I have because I'm a nerd. And I brought them down to my teammates. I was like, we're going to get amped. We're going to go to semis. We're going to win semis. We're going to go to finals. And so the 3 of us are just like having a lightsaber battle in the middle of this party. And to Scotty's point before, where she could wear whatever she wants and no one would care, like I could whip out a lightsaber at our parties and no one would care. And then we make it to the finals game, and this was a big deal because, like I mentioned, it was my boyfriend, myself, and then my boyfriend's housemate against the 3 other people that lived in their house. So it was kind of just going to be a big deal, like who could talk shit to the other housemates about who won. And guess who won? This girl. I claimed
for women.
Yes, we have well, after I won, after a game or a night of many root games, I took a Sharpie and wrote on the wall of the house, for women everywhere. Because I did it for women. I won for women. Actually, I think tomorrow, the day that we're recording this, tomorrow is International Women's Day.
Perfect.
So, yeah, perfect timing. But yeah, and then I gloated the entire year. And then senior year, when I didn't win, I still gloated.
Well, don't worry, because my team, which was me and 2 girls in my grade, 2 of our good friends, we got 3rd. So we, it wasn't as glorious as first place. However, we held our own, and we did it for women. So yes, this is an annual event that I both look forward to, and I'm devastated that I missed this year. So
yeah,
it is what it is. Did you have a favorite tournament story that you wanted to share?
I'm kind of copping out and choosing my first tournament as my favorite tournament story, but I have an interesting reason why. All right. So the Lehigh women's team was pretty small. My freshman year, we had a lot of injuries, unfortunately, and I think by the time we were at regionals, like a very important game, me as a freshman was required to play a lot of points because we were just down a lot of girls. Like we had a lot of injuries, but that's besides the point. So the first practices in the fall, we had a very senior heavy team, and because the fall is really more for like teaching new people, we had a lot of girls like not come to practice or show up hungover and all this other stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, this is just for fun. We're not really like that competitive of a team. And then I go to my first tournament and we're like winning a lot of games and winning by a lot. And the head captain just comes up to me and she looks at me and she's like, you didn't think we were good, did you? And that kind of stuck in my head. I was like, oh wow, because I've never been good at sports before. I've never been on a winning team. And so it was kind of amped it up for me instead of just like the silly thing that I would go after classes and go to practice. It was like, oh, wow, I could be a winner for once in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know
it was fun. What's your favorite tournament story?
I was going to say, I definitely spoiled with the phenomenal team that we had the year that I joined. However, they weren't really, aside from getting 3rd at nationals, it wasn't that impressionable for me right off the bat. I ran really competitive track in high school, so it was on the same vibe. Mine is, I know we talked about it in our audition for ULTIWORLD, and we'll probably rehash it when we do our spring break survival guide, but my favorite tournament was High Tide my senior year. So High Tide 2020 was both the best and worst week of my life. It is the year anniversary of it coming up. Which,
the world dying.
Yeah, is the anniversary of the world shutting down. We played pretty well. We combined our A and B teams to play together. And like everyone got equal playing time, and it was a ton of fun to play with the B teamers who I'd never played with before and see how much they'd grown as Ultimate players, you know, since they started. And also, you know, get the email that we would not be returning to Lehigh. And we got that actually the like 10 minutes before our guys' A team was geared up to play in the finals against Richmond. So since this was the last game of the whole week, I had been appropriately celebrating the end of the week, as we shall say. So getting that bad news was not great for anyone on the team, for sure. There was a lot of tears, but our guys still managed to pull through and like play a good game against Richmond. Unfortunately, did not win, but we had the whole team there cheering them on. And then the best part for me was after we had a full team spirit circle on the field, and all the seniors got to go in and like talk about their favorite moments playing Frisbee. And, you know, when I went in, everyone saluted me and said, "Oh, Captain, my swag captain," because I had organized a giant swag order like previously that went over really well. And hopefully I'll be able to, you know, maybe do something for the alumni moving forward. And got to like talk about, you know, how much I had gotten from being a part of Lehigh Ultimate. So although it was like really sad, it was also great to have the world shut down when I was there with my 60 closest friends.
Yeah.
So as sappy and hard as that was to live through, I'm glad that I did it with those people.
Yeah, no, that's a good memory. I remember, well, I was watching you guys on the Twitter and stuff. So, but I was happy that you got that kind of like final moment together. Because I know we have friends at other schools that were going to High Tide the week after that, and they kind of got the week cut short. And also, it was just like it started off as a bad mood, and it wasn't good. So I'm glad you guys got to have that special moment together.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is what it is, and we're going to make the most. We made the most of it for sure. Mm-hmm. So now that we've given you guys a bit of a flavor of our experiences and our interests and the ways that we like to have fun, we're going to take a quick moment to thank another sponsor before we jump into the advice portion of this podcast, where we discuss the pros and cons of having Ultimate Frisbee as the core of your college social life. So Pockets grabbed her reading glasses.
Are you going to up me? Oh, you actually have bad eyesight.
I do. So, this break is brought to you by my coffee addiction. Shout out to the number one drain on my bank account, and the part of me, like this part that has unfortunately become a part of my personality, where I'm always looking for my next caffeine hit. This episode would not have been possible without the large coffee that I downed at 2 p.m. this afternoon, as well as viewers like you. So thank you for tuning in.
Very excellent ad read. I also had a coffee around 2 p.m. today, so
that's why we're extra peppy tonight.
Yes. So the pros and cons of having Ultimate as your social life. So Scotti and I kind of have two different viewpoints on this. I, joining the Ultimate team my freshman year, it was like really my only social circle, which is good and bad. But then Scotti, not joining till her sophomore year, and also just being a well-rounded human. Has friends outside of the team. So my pro of having Ultimate as your social life in college is just it became a massive family for me. We sometimes joke that the Frisbee team was a bit like a cult because you you do everything together at some point. I know the at Lehigh at least, sorority and frat life is a pretty big deal. So they like to offer living opportunities for non-Greek members. And one of those was the Fit Living House. So my entire sophomore class, I think we started this, right?
Yeah, you did.
where we, like, all the sophomore Frisbee class, because you had to live on campus your sophomore year, would live in the Fit Living house. So we were living together. We were going to practice together. We were going to the dining hall together. I had two friends, one who you went to Ireland with. They were going to be roommates for the very first time, and they were very excited. And they had a Snapchat series, I guess you could call it, where they did their first together. So it was first time sleeping together, first time eating together, first time showering together, first time pooping together. It got really personal, and they definitely grew their relationship a lot in those first couple weeks rooming together. But that's kind of what it ends up being. Everyone, or not everyone, but most people on our Frisbee team, they would end up living in off-campus houses together. And it really does become your family. I still talk to most of the people that I played with, at least in your class that you do, or my class, the general you. You get really close with those people, and it's really nice to have that second family that you're always going to have that common interest with and is always going to have your back.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot dispute the value of having that like group of friends with the same, like that one common interest, because like you said, they are not only the people that you live with and that you play Frisbee with, they are your study buddies or lack thereof, and your fellow alcoholics or bad influences, whichever way you want to spin it. And I absolutely am still in contact with most of the people that I played with, and obviously you and all the friends like across the grades that I got to meet through the Frisbee team. I would say, I think that you may have picked up on it. It is hard to find female friends sometimes on a D3 Frisbee team. And like, as wonderful as all our guy friends are, I definitely, value everyone on their own individualism. So I ended up having a lot of friends, especially after I rushed and didn't join. I had a lot of friends that were in the same major as me and going through the same like brutal engineering curriculum that I went through. And, they were also girls. So they were like that group of friends, that side academic group, they were a lot more motivating for me to get things done. And they were on a different schedule, but it was like everyone was accommodating to everyone's different lifestyles and always making sure that we were on top of it. And then additionally, motivating each other to help get jobs and practice interviewing and all those other skills that come with going to college that is not, it's definitely not as fun as what we were talking about previously. But I think it's something I benefited immensely from and wouldn't trade. But I also had to go outside of the team to find.
Yeah, that would probably be my con, because I was the opposite of that. I just put all my eggs in one basket and hung out with the Frisbee team. And as Scotti said, for D3 women's, I think just because you never know how many people you're gonna recruit that year, and it can really fluctuate a lot. I know my freshman year we had aggressive, like a very large senior class, one person in the junior class, a pretty good sized sophomore class, and then our freshman class. My class we started out with 5 people and then kind of dropped down to 2 people. So yeah, it can be a little lonely, especially if you want to talk to like another girl, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I was, go ahead.
I don't have anything.
Oh, no, my other thing is I didn't I changed majors my sophomore year as well. So Scotti had all those people in her classes and stuff that she could just talk to, reach out to, kind of vent about her other life, her Frisbee life.
Yeah.
And I had one person that I was friends with in my major, and he was also on the Frisbee team. So it's kind of like you're kind of stuck with that group of people, and it could be like if you're always being around that same group of people, you can kind of get frustrated with them, or you just get annoyed because I don't know, I'm an introvert. I need that time to kind of go by myself and recharge.
Yeah, and even like as extroverted as I am, if one of your roommates just never does the dishes, but their friends, like all their friends are your friends, and you're all partying together, and you're like, man, I really wish that this guy would just clean out the sink for once. At least then, you've got that side friend group that it's going to be totally irrelevant to them, but they can at least relate with the whole living situation. Living with other people is always such a ordeal.
So I think our advice, as much as we love Ultimate Frisbee, try and branch out to all you college students. I know it seems pretty sad right now with COVID. You can't play, you can't hang out with your college team. Now is like a good time, since you can't practice. Like, try and reach out to other groups at your university, so you aren't just like getting upset and frustrated with the same group of people, even if you do love them a lot. Like, they'll always be there for you. You're always gonna have Ultimate in common, but do yourself a favor and reach out.
There's a lot that you can learn from new people that just have had different experiences from you. And I guess that's kind of where we sit with this podcast as well, as just, a similar experience, but just a different perspective. And bringing it to light. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, another thing, as we move on from this, and we're wrapping up the very first episode of Laying It Out, we wanted to start our own weekly segment, kind of like a trash fuckboy, but instead of people being shitty, we wanted to talk about kind of our good news of the week.
Yeah, I'm sure we can all use the good news. So for our inaugural episode of what we're going to just call PS, we would like to eventually make this into a listener interaction segment, but we don't have really any fans yet. We're our own.
Nobody's listened to us yet.
And also, there's no way for you guys to contact us. So down the road, hopefully we'll be able to figure that out. But for today, our good news is something that Pockets and I both share, and it is how excited we are to be here at ULTIWORLD, talking to you guys, sharing our perspectives, and the fact that through this long application process, which we totally did on a whim, we sent in an application in November at the recommendation of two of our club friends who saw the posting, and we totally did not think we would be here. But this is just something awesome that has not only brought me and Pockets closer together, it would not have happened if it was not for the pandemic. So there's some
one good thing. Yeah, yes. One good thing that has happened in 2020 is us deciding to do this. So that's been good.
Yeah.
So that's been our very first episode of Laying It Out. Let ULTIWORLD know what you think of it, because we would love to keep doing this. But for now, I've been Chelsea Pockets.
And I'm Scotti Dempsey. We'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.
They say I'm acting crazy, but I just wanna lie in the sun.